I'm Jonathan Maiocco, and I'm a coach here at Rooted Music, and I teach primarily piano, composition, and theory. And today I'm here to talk to you about how to learn a piece, and specifically my method and what's been easiest for me. So the first thing is learning a piece of music does not have to be intimidating. I think my whole life I've kind of had this idea that, you sit down from the piano and there's all these notes and pages in front of you, and it can kind of be scary, but it doesn't have to be. What I tell my students all the time is the age-old saying, how do you eat an elephant? And kind of cliche, but the answer is one bite at a time, right? So you can have these huge pieces of music, but just take it one small bite at a time, whether that's a line or a measure. Sit down and decide, okay, I'm going to learn this small portion today, and that's all I'm going to learn, and that's going to be okay. So what I typically do for a piece of music is when I know what I'm going to play, I'll usually look up maybe the composer, when it was written, and just become more familiar with it and let it be more personal to me instead of it being this kind of vague, ominous, like, there's this piece of music, I don't know where it came from, but now it's in front of me and I have to learn it, so make it more personal and exciting for you. The second thing that I then do is I look at the big picture and I'll listen through the piece if there's a recording of it and kind of understand like what's happening in it and see the big picture of what the composer or the writer was doing. After that, I'll make sure to look at the clefs and the key signatures. That's huge. You don't want to learn a piece of music in the wrong clef or key signature. That'd be very unfortunate. So kind of look big picture and make sure that you kind of know what you're going into. Next, what I'll do is I'll actually try to learn it starting at the end of the piece, moving towards the beginning. Because for me, something that I ran into a lot is that I'll learn the beginning of a piece and I'll understand it completely and be able to play it fast and it sounds super exciting and awesome, but then I'll reach the end, the part that I'm not as familiar with, and I'll just, crash and burn. So what I find helps me a lot is to start at the end, become really familiar with that, and to slowly work backwards and then put it all together at the end. And then, if you mess up the beginning, that's okay. No one remembers the beginning. It's all about how you end it. And that typically helps me. So that's kind of more big picture stuff. Smaller picture, it's usually best to learn it hands separate, right? So when you sit down, start with either your right hand or left hand. I usually start with my left hand because it's the hardest. And I'll just get my left hand down. I'll make sure I'm learning the right notes in the right key and the right clef. And I'll learn the right fingering. Fingering is huge because that really is kind of the choreography of your fingers on the keyboard. And so you're going to want to make sure that, your hands know what they're doing instead of constantly tripping over themselves. So learn my left hand first or right hand, and then the other hand, right after that. And I'll work on getting the fingering and the notes and the rhythm correct. Sometimes I'll run it with the metronome, sometimes I won't. And then I'll try putting it hands together. Take it slow, of course, right? Try it in very small increments, whether that's a line or just a measure. Take it slow, eat the elephant one bite at a time, right? And then slowly work your way towards whatever goal you've set for yourself, So let's say you want to learn 2 lines, hands together, hands separate, get the finger and rhythm right, put them together, and then become familiar with that. And then either, move forward or backwards depending on which way you're going. So typically what I find helps me the most is to, the part of the piece that's the hardest, to really focus on that. And I want that to be the most familiar for me. And so I'll definitely kind of iron that out. And anything that's, either going to be fast or confusing, really kind of understand what's happening there. And then the rest of it's kind of a piece of cake. So, and then something that's fun for me is I'll analyze the piece of music and, consciously and actively think about what I'm playing. What chord is this? What's the melody doing here? Is the melody reiterated here? Is it slower, faster, reversed, flipped, things like that. And just kind of, again, take a step back and look at it from a big picture mentality. So those are ways that helps me learn a piece, and I hope that it helps you as well.